Hello everybody, we are starting a new picture today. It is going to be a soft pastel drawing of a bird. A little bit about who I am and what I do is the live videos are here to help you learn how to use the app and other starter tips of drawing. My specialty are graphite pencils and colored pencils. But I'm here to help you with whatever medium you want to start out with. I am also available anytime for one-on-one sessions, no charge to you guys. If you want to draw along with me, the reference photo is in the Facebook group, Vinci Eye's Facebook group, and then my personal Facebook page, which is charitylowsart. Or if you're using an iOS, you can go into my profile, which is charitylowsart, and then look at my inspirations, and it should also be posted there too. So since we're starting from scratch, I'm going to show you how to set it up. So here we go. Just give me a second. Okay. So first off, when you start up the app, you will see this, and if you can draw the today's inspiration, but if you want to draw your own image, you just go plus draw at the top right corner. It will show you all your images in your camera feed. If it doesn't pop up, you need to go into settings and give the app permissions to see your pictures, and then it should be perfectly fine. So we're going to go into AR. I already have an anchor that's set up, but if you want to add a new anchor, you lost one or whatever, you go into Tools to AR mode and then go to Anchors. You can delete the anchors you have, and then you can make an anchor, and it'll give you step-by-step instructions. Number one rule that you need to be aware of is that when you're taking a picture of the anchor, you need to have it parallel to the camera, otherwise it's going to warp the image. So it needs to be nice and flat and squared off. Okay, you want to adjust your phone so that like lift it up for bigger pieces, bring it down for smaller pieces, make sure the whole entire drawing surface is being seen by the camera. And then we put the paper or whatever drawing surface or painting surface you want. Tape it down on directly on your art table or on a clipboard. Clipboards are great if you have more than one project going on at the same time. I'm just going to tape down all the edges. I got it in a spot that I like it in comparison to the camera. So I don't have the chalk pastel paper. So what I'm using is watercolor paper and using the rougher side of it. That way the pastel has something to grab onto. This is an 11 by 14 inch paper. Just like to tape just a little, like overlap it just a little bit, so there's a little line across, and you can put it on any basic, like when you're done, you can put it in any basic frame and you won't see the edges if that's not something you'd like to see. But yeah, and then for the anchor, that's upside down, so we can just flip it. We're going to tape it to the top and also make sure it's completely visible to the camera. first I'm going to just put a roll of tape underneath it. You can just leave it as that, but it might come off if you're taking it off, like taking your clipboard on and off the table. So I like to put a little bit more on each side and sometimes the top, just to make sure it stays nice and in place for multiple sessions. Okay, now that we have the anchor taped, we can press the move button on the bottom left. It should be purple. And then you just drag. You use 2 fingers to expand it or to shrink it. And then this is a great time to actually see. You can also tilt it a bit too. Like you can turn it around. You just got to use 2 fingers for that. But it's a good starting point for layout. Having it laid out just right to what you think would look good. I think I want these little flowers in the corner to show. Well, maybe not. Just being picky. And then we want to turn off the move button. This will allow you to zoom into all the fine little details and zoom out to see the whole picture. You also can play with the opacity, so that's on the bottom right, to make sure, like to help you be able to see your reference photo on your drawing, so that you can see all the trace, like where you've traced already. I think about right there would be good. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna do some tracing with I'm gonna do tracing with the hardest graphite pencil I have. And we're just lightly tracing it because we don't want those pencil marks to peek through the pastels. I'm more worrying about the shape than the different shades of colors here. So we're just doing the very basic shapes of the bird. We can compare your shades later for placement and stuff, so you don't need to trace the darker areas and the lighter areas. And the only thing I'm tracing is the stuff that's in focus. Like I'm not doing the background or anything because that's very blurred. There's no defined lines back there, so like in the background, so. I have a feeling that this is going to be a fairly quick drawing, unlike the last one where it took 9 sessions to complete. So if you guys have any photos you want to draw, you can email me with those reference photos and we'll draw together. And if you want, I will also send you the drawing I done for free. The email that you can send these reference photos to is in the description of this video. I'm just going to see where I've traced. I'm going to play with the opacity. So we just want nice, light lines. We don't want to push too hard. This makes it easier for erasing and also won't pop through the pastels. So what you are not seeing on my videos, on this video, is that I have the I have my phone streaming onto a TV, so that way I don't have to look and stretch out and try to look on my phone, which makes it easier for bigger pieces. So I'm just looking right above the camera that's showing my face. If you want me to go over how to do that, how to stream your phone onto your TV, I am more than happy to help you out with that too. Don't hesitate to interrupt me during this session, because again, I'm here to help you out, help you figure out how to set things up and things. So, that is done, what I'm tracing. I just can't really see it. Zoom in, you'll be able to see it a bit better. Okay, for this next step, I'm going to go into strobe with the opacity to its fullest. I'm going to turn it on, and this will give you a real-time comparison to your drawing and your reference. You can change the speed of the strobe. I like it somewhat slow. Okay. I also like to grab another device for color picking. So let's get this started. Sorry. So I like to pull up the reference photo onto a drawing or photo editing app. I'm just gonna put this on there. And this way you can kind of have a better idea on what colors to use. So you just zoom into the areas and then you go color picking, and then it gives you a better idea. So this is kind of like a yellow with like a touch of green for the bird. Okay. So what I like to do first is I like to go with the lighter colors. I'm gonna do right underneath the beak, like the chin, with a bright yellow. For storing your pastels, you can put a little bit of rice in a container or a bag. This will keep them fairly clean so you can see the different colors. I like to keep the cold colors and the warm colors separate. It's also a good idea to have a extra blank piece of paper so that you can do some color testing before you actually put the color onto the page. I'm just going to trace that really bright area. Usually I say do not blend with your finger, but in this case you can. It helps it stick to the paper, and that's what you want. And it's fairly malleable, unlike graphite is. I'm just filling it in as best as we can. And then we're going to take one of our fingers and we're just going to push it right in there. I normally would use a brush as well, but the brush will kind of wipe off more than what you would want to. So I just blow off the extra. Make sure you have like a paper towel with you to wipe your fingers off every time you use them so that it doesn't blend into other things. You know, I think I might add the yellow all around the face, to be honest. And this is just for the base. We can always add darker, easier than adding lighter. So let's work with the lighter colors that you see and just build it up. And then take your finger and just push that right into the paper. And blow off the extra bits. There's a slight green to it in some areas, so I'm gonna find like an olive green or like a light green, and then clean it off a little bit just by rubbing it on the paper towel. And then just add little spots. We're not going to fill it all in. We're trying to get some of the texture that we see at this point because we already got a base to it. I'm doing really small lines. Then I'm going to blend it in, blending in the direction of the lines that I've made. There's a little bit of green on the top part too, so I'm going to add that. Just blending with my finger. Okay, let me see. I'm going to add a little bit of brown just underneath the beak. It's a shadow that's hitting. Just from, yeah. I'm just trying to think of words, but words don't like me today. So okay, I'm gonna actually take this small blending stump, making sure it's clean by rubbing it on a paper towel and just pushing it in, because this is a finer detail. Just adding a little bit more yellow around that shadow there. I think I'm going to go and do some finer details. I'm going to zoom in. We can trace exactly the details that we see, or we can just wing it. I'm going to take a green chalk pastel pencil, and we're going to draw in some of those little details. I'm probably going to use a little bit of brown too. And then I'm going to use a brown one, if I can find it. There it is. And add in a few more details. Mostly in the darker areas is where I'm going to put that brown. Can overlap the green. You can play around with color, because different colors kind of also make it look a little bit more realistic too. And then I'm going to see if blending it with my finger is going to work. If not, then I'll use the small blending stump. I'm just slightly pushing it across, very light pressure, kind of from the center of the eye outwards. I'm going to take the Mono eraser and grab some of those little highlights by pulling off some of that pigment that we have on there already. And then I'm going to clean up the white areas around the eye by using the mono eraser as well. And we're also going to fill that with white. I'm going to use the small chalk pastel pencils to do this. I'm just adding white all the way around. Just small details, so we don't need the big bricks. And then blend, make sure your finger's clean when you do this. Blend it in, push it in to the paper. So I like to work from light to dark. The eye is brown and black, so we're going to do brown. I'm going to sharpen the pencil with the pencil sharpener that was in the pencil kit because other pencil sharpeners can break the pastel and it won't last as long. So that was a manual. It comes with like a manual pencil sharpener. So I never use my electrical pencil sharpeners for this. I'm going to trace the line, the area of the brown, and fill it in with some circular motions. I'm going to take the small blending stump for this. I should buy more blending stumps. One for graphite and one for chalk pastel. Okay, making sure that's nice and clean, and we're just going to push it in to the paper. I'm going to add a little bit of white at the bottom part of this semicircle just to give it a little bit more, more of a 3D effect. It's such a tiny little area. I'm not too worried about blending that. Now we're going to go and use the black chalk pastel. Just making sure the edges are nice and sharp, so I just sharpen that with the pencil sharpener. And then just getting those really dark areas. So there's a little black area on the left side of the eye, kind of almost like giving it a cat eye liner going on there. And then it's black on the top part of the iris. It's like an arch going all the way across. Try to preserve the highlight that's in the eye, the white little shine catch light. So sometimes I like to just trace that out first and then I shade in the rest. Makes it easier. There's a little spot right here that's also black, so we're going to get that. I'm going to take a yellow chalk pastel pencil, and I'm going to trace around the eye to just give it more of an accurate shape, more defined shape. than what we did with the bricks. And I'm gonna just trace around it, and then I'm gonna kind of do small strokes outwards to kind of blend it into the yellow that we already have on there, because the pencils are not exactly the same colors as what we have with the bricks. Yeah, so I'm just kind of adding that color all over in areas that I think would work, just so that it's nice and blended in. I'm just going to take the pinky and just slightly blend that in. I don't want to blend too much because we don't want to get rid of that detail we did. Just enough to kind of push it into the paper. And then I'm going to add a little bit of brown in some areas. There's a little bit of brown that's surrounding the eye. So I'm just going to add that as well. And we're going to add that brown to very select areas of the rest of the head so that it also kind of makes it more of a cohesive piece where it's not like the eye is sticking out completely. Man, I don't know how to describe it. I'm having a hard time today. We want the feathers that are just on the outside of the eye to kind of match the feathers that are around the face. So that's why we're doing that. You just keep on adding layers and layers until you get to a point where you're pleased with it. So you can add white on top of areas. I'm just going to keep on adding more color to it. I'm going to kind of go over with the brick here. I'm just trying to make it nice and opaque. Just pushing that in with my little finger, just making sure it stays in place. I think we're going to move on to the beak, which it's practically entirely black. So I think I'm just going to make it black completely. But there is a bit of a catch light on it, so we want to try to preserve that as best as possible. And also add a little bit of blue, it seems. So we're going to do the tip of the beak black and then the inner part of it, slowly kind of turn it into a dark blue. And then I'm going to go and use the blue chalk pastel pencil. And we're going to add that to the beak as well. You might want to add a little bit of black over top the blue, because it's really dark. I think I'm going to do that. I'll just add a tiny bit of black over top of that so it's nice and dark. It's such a fine area, so I'm going to use the blending stump for this. Just kind of do circular blending here, trying to stay within the lines because we don't want it to be, we want them to be nice sharp lines here between the feathers and the sky. And then taking the mono eraser, actually no, I'm going to take the electric eraser and get that highlight. You just have to tap it as it spins. Maybe just sharpen up those edges a little bit more. Now we're going to the body of the bird. It is a very light, like it's kind of, there's some very light yellow and then also some cream colored feathers. So if you have a hard time seeing, what colors are in certain areas, put the reference image on a editing app and then just select colors so you can kind of have a better idea. Of what you need. So what I'm going to do for this section is I'm going to start off with a white layer. White layer on the top of the chest. I'm not doing it all the way down because it gets darker. But we're doing a white layer here. Push that in. Let's kind of blend it all. And then kind of blend in that other color. Just kind of, yeah. Make it nice and soft transition there. It is a bit of a tan. Tan is it could either be a light brown or it's a mixture of pink, yellow, and white. And yeah, pink, yellow, and white. But I'm gonna try to either find a skin tone or a light brown. I think we got one that's a skin tone here. If I can get away with not mixing colors, I will get away without mixing colors as often as possible. There we go. So just adding some little stripes, little short lines going all the way across. And then we're going to blend that in. This helps give it a little bit more texture when you're just doing that. But it also blends super easily too. So if you just wanted to add just a smidge of a certain color, you can just add a few little dots and then blend it. I think I might add a little bit of brown. Just a very small little bit of brown. Just a few little spots. I'm just dabbing it. And then blending. Like, it blends so easily. Another way to add a little bit of color that you just need a little bit of a certain color, you can use a paintbrush and just rub the brush on the brick and then place it. Like as if you're placing on, putting on blush on your face. If you like to put on makeup. Okay, one thing I forgot to grab is a knead eraser, because that's really good for picking up ever so, like, some of the pigment ever so slightly. I'm just gonna play with this for a little bit. Just kind of warm it up. And then I'm gonna make a flat part of it and then just dab and lift. And then you're gonna need to play with it again to make it sticky again. You want it just a little bit sticky. And then just dab and pick it up. I notice there's a white spot right where the beak is, between the beak and the eye, so I'm going to fill that in. Looks like it's a bit of a brown section, so I'm going to fill that in because I missed it. And I'm seeing it now, so I might as well fix it now. So. And just using the blending stump. There we go. Now we're going to kind of do a mid-tone. Let me see what will work best. Gotta think. I see a bit of like a gray shade on the far left. So I'm gonna first add some white in that area, making it easier to make it a bit brighter than what I have for any shade or any color that I have. And then we're gonna push that into the paper, and then we're gonna add a little bit of black or gray. I have gray actually in the pencil, so I can use that. Do I have gray in? I'm just gonna double check to see if I have gray in. No, I have gray in the brick, so I'm gonna use the brick. No, that's not gray. That's blue. Okay, the pencil it is. I'd rather use the brick for that because it's a larger area, but the pencil will do. There's just this little almost triangular shadow right here. So I'm just tracing that out and then filling it in. And then using my small finger and just pushing it in, blending it. And it still needs to be darker, so I think I do need to add a bit of black. I could also use a little bit of blue too. I'm just lightly putting on a little bit of black over top of that. And then I'm going to do a little bit of blue on that the top part of that. Just a little tiny bit. Because it's reflecting the sky. And then blend it out. Okay, I want to get that kind of in between shade. So I'm going to do a little, almost like a thick stripe that's going across and like a that's curved a bit. So I'm just barely touching the bright areas, like overlapping the bright areas and just adding this. Using a skin tone for this part. And then it looks like that same shade is just underneath the wing here. So I'm going to move that across there too. And then I'm going to blend it and see how that looks for now. See if I need to add different colors to it. We're just kind of staying in the same area that we placed it. You don't want it to go too far. Just a reminder, make sure you wipe your fingers after every time you blend so that you don't get the wrong colors in the wrong places. There is a bit of a reflection of the flowers too that I see, so I'm going to add a bit of pink. I have a dark pink and a light pink, and I think I might use a bit of both here. So the lighter pink is going to go a bit higher. Don't need to add too much, just a little bit. And then the darker pink lower, closer to the flowers here. Just a few little dots. Make sure your fingers are nice and clean before you blend. Sometimes you can also use the knead eraser to help clean off your fingers too. You just play around with that. Or the paper towel. And some circular motions, pushing that right into the page. This is just a reflection. When we overlay it with some of the other colors, it will blend nice and easily, look proper to what it's supposed to look like. I see kind of like a reddish brown tone around that pink, just on the lower part surrounding it. So I'm going to add that. And just blend that right into that pink and a little bit outwards. And then there's a darker brown underneath that as well. So we're going to do the same thing. And then take your clean finger and just blend that in. Push it into the paper. I'm going to add ever so slightly a little bit more of that dark pink to that area. Yeah. I just did some dabs, some circles of that, and then just layered that on top. I think I want to start focusing on some details here. I'm going to actually use the gray pencil to get some of the texture of the fur in some areas, mostly on the top part. So in working with pastel, the more layers you put on it, the more, like, the better it will turn out. So this is a very patient and also very forgiving medium. I'm going to take, let me see, do I have a skin tone? Yes, I think I do. I have a skin tone pencil and I'm going to use that for some areas as well. Making sure my pencils are nice and sharp for this. Oh, that one broke the pencil. I'll do that again. Do your best not to drop your pencils because it will break the lead inside or the stuff inside of it. So I'm looking for very subtle differences in the color values and the different color values and different colors. I can't think of words. It's a day. And then just slightly blending in those little details, making it nice and soft. I'm going to take some yellow, add a few little details where that sharper line is compared, like, between the two different colors. I still see a little bit of brown there too, so just, you're playing spot the difference, and you gotta change the differences as you go, as you see them. And you can go on and do this forever. So the real art comes with when you want to stop. I think I'm going to add a little bit of brown to those darker areas. Especially like also right here where that gray shadow is, I'm going to add brown to it. Maybe a little black as well on top of that. Just trying to find that the right color, and with pastel you can easily mix colors on the page, which is really nice. I'm just sharpening those lines, the outline of the bird, by using the mono eraser to pick up the color there. Okay, there's a section that's more like quite a bit brighter. Actually what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break and get something to drink and stretch out the legs. So yeah. There we go. Now you guys can hear me. It's a good time to ask some questions. You got my full attention right now. If nobody talks to me, I'm just going to ramble on about who I am and why I'm here. So I am not the developer of the app. I feel very grateful for being able to work with the developer of the app. I noticed that they had posted my artwork a lot on their Instagram and asked them for a job, and that's why I'm here today. I'm here to help you get started on setting up, some tips and tricks on how to use the app to its fullest so you can do some photorealistic artwork like myself, or just how to get started in various of mediums. I also help them with advertisements for the app on social media and some other videos, educational videos for this. So I do have a way to get you the app for free for a year if you don't have the app yet and you would like to try. So just send me an email. My email is posted in the description. Just put promo code for the tagline or whatever it's called. Also, I would love to have your input for future videos on whether, like, what kind of medium you'd like to do next, and if you have like a reference photo you want me to do with you, then you can send that to me also through email and we can do that together. And I am more than happy to send you my drawing once it's done, for free, no charge. Shipping is free too. I am also available all the time for one-on-one videos if that's something you are interested in doing, and that's also no charge. We're going to be doing a competition here soon in the Facebook group, Vinci Eye App, and I don't know exactly what the prizes are going to be yet. I haven't decided. Last time it was a cash prize, but I'll be posting that. I'll be posting that on the 1st of June, and have until the end of the month to enter into it. So what it's gonna do, what we're doing is you're gonna send your favorite drawing that you've done. I'll post all the drawings, no names at first, and people are gonna vote by using the emojis, like thumbs up 1 point, heart 2 points, wow face 3 points, and all the people in that group are going to be the judges. It's not going to be me. So there's no biases. Yeah, and we had some really good artwork last year for that. Okay, I think it's about time to start up again. I'm probably going to have a little bit of this coffee here and there, but it's going to take a while for me to drink it all before if we decide to wait for me to finish that. So yeah, let's get started. But also don't forget that I'm more than happy to answer questions as we go along in this video. So yeah. Also, a question for you guys: how clear is the video for you guys? Because I just got some new cameras and I want to make sure they're working pretty good before I decide to keep them. I'm gonna add ever so slightly a little bit of brown right here. And then blend that using the pastel pencils. I use the pastel pencil for that. I'm gonna go in with some skin tone, this little tiny section right here. I'm gonna do some more dark brown. Looks like I need a little bit more dark brown right here. So I'm gonna add that. Okay, there's a really dark shadow, almost black, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use red and green for a bit of it, and then a little bit of layers of black on top of that. Kind of using more of like a brownish red, like a pretty rich brown red. If I have that, and then just put that on top. I don't know the name of the color. I want to say Tuscan red, but I could be wrong. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter too much. And then I'm going to use a nice dark green to overlay on that. Just and then a little bit of black on top of that. Gives it more of like a natural color. Like black, the color black obviously does exist in the world, but usually there is some sort of like reflection or something in person. So like in photographs, black is fairly rare. So you add a little bit of blue or red and green, purple, just to give it more of a realistic photo like. I'm just blending that in using my little finger, cleaning my finger as I go. I'm blowing off the rest. Usually, as I said this before, I don't normally like it when people blend with their fingers, but with chalk pastel, it actually is a good choice to do that. I'm just sharpening off the edges here with using the Mono eraser. I think I accidentally blended that too high, so I'm going to take the knead eraser, making sure I have it nice and clean and flat, and then I'm just dabbing and lifting. I'm going to kind of just drag that up a little bit so that we got like that rounded chest. Now I'm gonna go in and do some details over top of that. So I'm gonna start with the gray pastel pencil. That's not the gray pastel pencil. You can trace the details if you'd like, but you don't have to. Just do nice small strokes going in the direction of the feathers. So here is a little information for if you're doing any type of pet portraits, is that fur and feathers like to go away from the nose, outwards away from the nose. Or the beak, away from the nose or the beak. And then I'm going to take the skin tone pencil and do the same thing. Just do some small strokes. And then I'm also going to go in with some brown to get some of those really darker areas. Just some small strokes. You can follow the reference photo exactly if you'd like, but that is totally up to you. Elliot, thank you for joining, and thanks for talking to me. You love drawing. I absolutely love drawing too, and I feel quite blessed to be able to do it full time. Do you have the app, the Vinci Eye app? Okay, I'm gonna take the mono eraser and just grab some of those highlights and go back and forth to kind of catch those here. Actually, what would be better is my electric eraser. Oh, my electric eraser's a little dirty. Gotta clean that off. It just makes it a little bit more faster to get some of those highlights and a little bit more accurate too. And there's, under the belly, it's still a little bit, like it's a little too dark, so I'm gonna pick that up a little bit with the knead eraser. Let's pick up some of that pigment. And then I think it's got more of a rich tone to it. I'm gonna add a little bit of, like, I'm gonna call it Tuscan red because that's the closest color that I can think of. Just dab some of that color in it and then just blend it. Okay, now we can work on the, well, let me see. I kind of want to fill in those spots a little bit more. So I'm taking the brown pencil and just kind of filling it in a little bit more because it's not, you can see the paper poking through still, and I don't like that. I want it to be nice and thick. I'm going to add a little bit of pink to it. It's really pushing into the paper at this point. I get nice and vivid colors. And then I'm going to take my finger and just blend that right in, push it right into the paper. Quite a bit of pressure to do that. Taking the Mono eraser just to kind of clean up the edges a bit. And then back to my electric eraser, I'm just picking up some of those lighter areas over here. Just small strokes. Now let's move on to the wing. I'm gonna add a little bit of white to it. I mean, not white, yellow. It's kind of like a yellow-green color. But we're gonna get the shape of the wing first, which we already traced with the Vinci Eye App, so we can just follow what we put on to the page. And then we're gonna fill that all in with the yellow. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see more of the wing. Okay, making sure my fingers are nice and clean. I'm going to use one of my fingers to push that right into the paper. It's blowing off the extra. It's got a bit of a green tinge to it. So I'm gonna add a little bit of green all over it. Just small strokes going across. Okay, so I just wanted to see if anybody, what that noise was, to see if there was anybody who was trying to join the group so that they can draw along with me, but it was something else. Then we're going to blend that in. I'm going in the same direction of the lines that I just did, and those lines are following the direction of the feathers. Blow the extra off, and I'm just trying to see what colors I can, what undertones and other colors I can see. It's a skill that you need to learn, is to be able to see the reflection colors and the undertones. It's kind of like the details are kind of brown and then black underneath the wing. So I'm going to add brown to certain areas, zooming into some fine details so I can copy it exact, which you don't have to do. It's all your choice. You can do more of an expressionistic style, which honestly is it's very similar a very similar skill to learn is impressionistic artwork, which to me means like mimicking textures, but it's more free. You still need to mimic the textures, but yeah. I don't know if that made any sense. I'm so sorry. And there's like a dark line going all the way down the wing that's between the sky and that said wing. So I'm going to trace that as well. And then just slightly blending it with one of my fingers, just lightly, because we want to try to keep that texture. Just small lines going in the direction of the fur. I mean, not the fur, the feathers. I'm going to add a little bit more all over it for the brown, because it is quite a bit darker areas here. I'm just kind of doing what my my teachers in school would call chicken scratches, which doesn't really matter too much because you're blending it. It's going to blend right in perfectly. And then there's the feathers that are they're elongated, so you want to do nice long strokes, not short strokes for this. And I'm putting quite a bit of pressure on at this point because I really want that to be defined, all those little feathers. So it's getting a lot of contrast going on here. And then I'm going to add some light layer just over here to make it darker. And we're going to also go over this with a little bit of black as well, eventually. And then using my finger, just kind of dragging those lines to soften them up a bit, but not lose the shape. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna add actually some dark red to it. Before I do the black, I'm gonna add some dark red. I'm gonna give it a complementary color, because complementary colors actually work really well for shading. So if like if something's blue, adding a little orange in the shadows really help. There's many different ways to shade actually. Complementary colors, colors that are next to each other. So if something was yellow, using orange for shading would work. I'm just trying to define those lines a little bit better. I'm going to go over it with some green. Where is my green? There is my green. I'm going to go over those lines that I just did with red with some green. And then blending it with a clean finger. Okay, now I'm going to go in with a black chalk pastel pencil, and I'm going to get that really sharp shadow that's just underneath the wing. So first I'm just tracing the outer edge of that shadow. And then I'm going to just fill that in. I don't want to smudge this too far, so I'm going to use a blending stump, making sure it's nice and clean, and just using it to push that in. I'm putting a lot of pressure into the paper so that it gets right in there. I'm going to use my finger and take that brown shadow that's on the left side of that and just pull it in towards the black. And I think I'm going to actually add some more brown to that. Just doing some small strokes. Trying to mimic the texture while I'm working on this at the same time. And then adding a little bit more tan because there's a white spot between the two and I don't want any white spots. And then blending that in, pushing it in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take the black chalk pastel again, and I'm going to work on those feathers on the wings. There's some really dark lines that I see that I want to get on here. I'm not doing all of them black. I'm just doing some select ones that are really dark, that I see that are really dark. And some of the lines, I'm not going to go all the way from the top to the bottom. I'm going to just do part way. I'm trying to stay on those brown lines that I did earlier too. Usually I do not like to add black over top of yellow because it turns it green. But the thing is, it's already got a green, color to it as well. So I'm not too worried about the change of color. Just dragging my finger across those lines, and then also just blending in those little details that I did just above those long feathers. I think I still need to get the wing to be a little bit more darker, so we're gonna keep playing with that. Zooming out so I can see it more of a whole. I'm gonna start with a lighter brown with a brick and then just lightly layer it on the bottom, like the middle part of that wing. I'm only just doing that. And then just lightly blend it. And then I'm going to add some green. I think I might, no, I'm going to do some light green, mostly on the top part. And then I'm going to add a little bit of dark green on the bottom. I'm not trying to make it super smooth. I want to have it some kind of texture. And then another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my electric eraser and just pick up some little details here and there. Just small little strokes. The yellow is going to shine right through when you use the electric eraser. The first layer, it's always the first layer that you'll see. And we did yellow for the first layer. And knowing that you'll still have that first layer popping through, if you want to have a bright white, when you erase, just do a little bit of white chalk underneath. Not super bright, but I'm gonna pick up some with the mono eraser to find those a little bit better, some contrast using the mono eraser. Let's do the tail. It's more of an orange yellow. I'm going to start with the yellow first, just at the very base of the tail. And then add a little bit of orange or yellow orange, somewhere between the two. A little bit of light green over top of that yellow orange. And some light brown. Like we're trying to do like an ombre effect with this. And we can do a dark brown and then a black over top of that, like on the very, very end. I need to wash my hands real good after this. Can't really see too much. That's pretty bad. Okay, I'm going to start off with the lighter area with a clean finger. Just clean it with some paper towel. Light area, and then I'm going to drag it down. Just kind of push those colors right into the paper. Sharpen up the edges with the mono eraser. I'm gonna add, there's like a little bright yellow bit that's poking out through here. I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow there. Oh, My finger wasn't clean. I'll take the Mono eraser to fix that up. Here we go. I'm going to do the feet now. And the feet are fairly easy to do. Because it's like gray and black. So we're going to use the black. Wait, let me see. Let me think. I got to think. Remember, light to dark works best, but it's not permanent. So we'll do the gray. We'll trace it with gray first. Let's get the shape of the feet and the legs. Let's get the other one, which is completely in the shadows. So I almost don't need to do all of that. Like, I don't need to do all the little details because it's just a really dark spot. Okay, I'm gonna go over the top part of this one foot with gray. And then use a clean hand and blend that. I'm trying to clean it. It's not perfect because my hands are, yeah. Let's try again. It's okay if there's a bit of color on it. It just gives it makes it look more alive, but it's not that color. Well, it's pretty close to the color. So that was a happy accident. Now I'm going to do the black, the shadow on the bottom part of it, and then some little lines to kind of get that texture going on there. There's also a reflection of some flowers on here too. So I'm going to use some red in here, just filling in that whole section with red. And then covering it up with a bit of black. Just a little bit of black over top of that. We're going to do a few little lines going across. Get that texture going. Some of these I'm not putting a lot of pressure on to make them because it's not pure black. I just want that texture going on. Okay, I see there's a slight red color on this part of this other foot here. I'm gonna do the base of red, and then the rest, I'm gonna do the whole thing black. So a little bit of black on top of that, and then quite a bit of black on the rest. I'm putting quite a bit of pressure over in this part right here. It's going to look better once everything else is put together, so just trust the process. Okay, I'm going to blend in the really dark, bigger area here. Well, actually, just notice that this goes a little bit over still. And so red in the base, black over top. And then push that right into the paper. You want it to get right into the crevices of everything. And pushing it right into the paper for the other foot here. I'm not really dragging too much. I'm just putting some pressure and kind of wiggling. Then taking the mono eraser, and I'm going to sharpen up those edges. There's still like a little interesting shadow going on right here, so I'm going to add that because I missed that a little bit. I'm going to actually take the blending stump for this. I'm going to clean the tip of my electric eraser, and then just do a few little details of some little spots on the foot here. And then cleaning it up. There we go. Now I think we've got all the bird done. You can continue working on it until it's like really detailed if you'd like, but I think this is pretty good. Now, should I do the background and then do the detailed front? Like the detailed branch and flowers? I think I will do the background first. And yeah, because then it doesn't, you don't feel so nervous about losing detail when you do the background. So we're gonna find a light blue, and actually I'm gonna go over most of it or all of it with some white first, so it blends really nicely. This is a really, really soft background. Let's just do the top half first. And we're gonna blend it out. I'm going to use my other hand and just really push it into the paper. Take that light blue and just lightly put it on. It doesn't have to be perfectly tight circles because it blends so easily. Like it just scribbles. Just scribble it all on there. I think I'm going to do the bottom part too with that white. Okay, using my clean hand and just really pushing that into the paper. Okay. I kind of want to see this as a whole. So I'm just zooming out so I can see more of it. So it's blue and pink and brown. I kind of want to just get the general space for each color. Okay, before I disappear, I'll just finish, like, I'll work on getting some of this brighter pink on here and then blend it. Okay. And just circular motions, nice and big circular motions to get that nice smooth, soft. And I want to get this pressed in there pretty good because it will make a mess for storing. You don't want to mess. And then I'm going to go from the center and kind of push it upwards into that blue for that pink. I'm going to use my pinky finger to kind of push that into the edges so that there's not a halo around the bird. Okay, for storing until you get a chance to work on it some more, you can spray it with some hairspray. It will keep it in place, but you can still erase and add more layers on top. So I'm going to do that real quick. I'm just very far away from the paper and just doing a slight layer of hairspray. And then you can take tissue paper and put it over top for storing. So yeah, we don't want it to get mucked up. Whew. So I got some tissue paper here, really big pieces because I use it for sending some of my art pieces out, my commissions. Place it over top. One thing I like about the clipboard is that you can just put it in the clips, under the clips here, and then you just tape the edges on the other side. Just a little tiny piece of tape. That way nothing will rub against it and it won't come off on anything. So yeah, there you go. That is the end of this live. So again, like, you guys should join the Facebook group. Email me for anything. I am available for one-on-one lessons, video call, whatever. Not any charge for you guys. So thank you so much for all the support, and we will continue this next week, 11 to 12 Mountain Time. So yeah, love you. Bye.